We're here today to discuss a very serious breaking news story that came out last night with an exclusive from the New York Post. It contained the blockbuster admission from the Cuomo administration that they knowingly and willfully hid data on nursing home deaths stemming from the executive order of March 25th. The gravity of this cover-up cannot be overstated. Melissa DeRosa is the second most powerful person in government. She is Andrew Cuomo's right hand. I might also remind everyone that it's a position that she attained when his previous right hand went to prison for a different corruption scandal inside the Cuomo administration. This stunning admission was revealed in a leaked video of a closed-door meeting with fellow Democrats, only Democrats, that the Cuomo administration purposely lied and withheld evidence and information to avoid prosecution. Their actions were premeditated. This was an orchestrated and conspired cover-up that likely involves a number of both state and federal crimes. It's very clear that this involves obstruction of justice. So much so that they thought that they would be absolved if they made jokes about it. They made it about Donald Trump. They made it about politics. These are laughable excuses. And it's an insult to the intelligence and the integrity of 19 million New York taxpayers. He has grossly abused his power, and he has destroyed the credibility and the trust of the office of the governor. Andrew Cuomo must be prosecuted, and Andrew Cuomo must be impeached if this evidence exists. The truth is that this entire ordeal, starting with that fateful executive order on March 25th, was corrupt from the outset. He was the only governor in America to implement the deadly combination of policies that forced COVID-positive patients into nursing homes and prohibited the testing. It was an order, and it defied all common sense and logic. It was an order that unnecessarily gave a death sentence to thousands of beloved grandparents, husbands, wives, mothers, fathers. Specifically, more than 9,000 seniors, it has now been revealed, cherished members of the greatest generation, were with confirmed COVID diagnosis, were sent home from the hospital into nursing homes during the period of the governor's deadly March 25th order. The one thing that we knew about this virus from the outset, that it gravely impacted our senior population. And in the governor's own words, that the virus in a nursing home would go through like lighting a fire through dry grass. That was his words. Yet he ordered it nonetheless. He ordered it despite the fact that we had thousands of hospital beds that lay unused. The Javits Center was converted to a mass hospital with 1,000+ beds that were nearly zero were used. The president sent the USS Comfort into our harbors that had over 1,000 hospital beds. It lay empty. There were millions upon millions of dollars spent to create field hospitals, specifically in suburban counties to New York City. Those were also never used. He ordered it, many believe, at the request of some of his biggest donors, hospital executives and hospital associations. Hospital executives who just a year prior had given a $1 million contribution to the governor's war chest. That in itself, with the business they do with the state of New York, is outwardly corrupt. But instead of admitting the Cuomo mistake, acknowledging the truth, Andrew Cuomo and his team entered a conspiracy of Nixonian proportions. First, they tried to hide the executive order by pulling it from the website, like no one had a backup. Lots of copies existed. So that didn't work. Then they attacked. They attacked Republicans. I think I got attacked at one point. Congress members got attacked, state senators got attacked, assembly members got attacked. They attacked the CDC, they attacked President Trump, they attacked the New York Post for reporting on it. But worst of all, and most disgusting and callous of all, Andrew Cuomo's team attacked the families and the victims of the deaths in these nursing homes. They called them death cults. They insulted them and they belittled them. They tried to destroy their credibility. And simultaneously, Andrew Cuomo and his team, they went on their daily briefings and they lied to the public. They lied to you and the press. They lied to the state legislature. And they likely lied to the Department of Justice. In August, the Department of Justice sent a letter to Governor Cuomo asking for information regarding their directive in the nursing home order. The Department of Justice is charged with enforcing the civil rights of institutionalized persons. Now, our seniors are some of the most vulnerable citizens in our country, and they need advocates and they need watchdogs to ensure that they're treated well while under the care of others. They had no voice in any of this, and neither did their families, and they were kept in the dark. They had no way to prevent their own deaths. And due to this unconscionable order that the governor signed on March 25th on his stationery with his pen on his desk, it sentenced these seniors to death. He made the decision for them, and they were cheated out of their last days on earth. And they didn't get to die with dignity. They didn't get to cast their last breaths holding the hand of a loved one with warmth and affection. They died alone. The family members died alone and have holes in their heart. I've met with these families and I've talked to these families. And you've all heard from someone that's been so courageous, Janice Dean of Fox News, who lost both in-laws to this executive order. And she's been fighting for justice. These people, these families deserve justice. So you're damn right that the DOJ should be investigating this grave injustice. We need answers. Andrew Cuomo knew that the evidence was incriminating, so they hid it. They knew the severity of what they had done. And they knew that there would likely be criminal liability based on their decisions. So they conspired and they covered it up and they lied. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube in this situation. The taxpayers of the state of New York deserve answers. The victims' families deserve answers. The media deserves answers. Elected officials deserve answers. The DOJ required a 14-day response window to their inquiry. So who responded from the government? What information did they give? Did they lie to the federal government? Was wire or mail fraud committed? Their continuous lies to the public clearly indicate a violation of the state's public officers law. These are all reasons why we need an independent and real investigation into this matter, not a whitewash. His own Department of Health, which has no more autonomy than his press secretary, issued a whitewash report earlier this year trying to absolve him. But people were smarter than that. Tish James had the courage to come forward and put this report out, 76 pages of facts. I pray that she has the courage to continue looking for justice in this scenario. Andrew Cuomo was with President Joe Biden this morning at the White House. That is, unless the president canceled on it. President Biden promised an independent Department of Justice, and this is the first true test of that promise. We already know that the FBI has a file this tall on Andrew Cuomo's administration and the long history of corruption that's existed in this administration. But this is different. This is way different. This is different than anything Albany's seen before. Thousands of people are dead based on the decisions of the governor. And then he lied about it. He covered it up. New York officials have been forced out of office for far less than this. Far less. This is worse than Troopergate. This is worse than having a staffer drive your wife around. This is worse than a governor not paying for his Yankee tickets. Frankly, this is worse than being client number 9. Andrew Cuomo is unfit for public office in the state legislature, and I am calling on them today to bring up articles of impeachment based on this lie and cover-up. That is the only justice that can be done. He cannot be trusted to resign. This can't be about one staffer quitting over the matter. There needs to be justice done in this state if the state is going to have any faith from its citizens once again. The only way to restore integrity to the office of the governor in the government of the people of the state of New York for our 19 million citizens is to move ahead with these sorts of very serious processes, impeachment, and charges and prosecution. So I'll take any questions you have at this time. Yes?
Question regarding the senators that were involved, the Democratic senators that were involved in that meeting. How concerned are you that there are likely Democratic senators in Western New York who listened into that call and yet did not come forward with any information or press on further?
I am gravely concerned with that because what you saw right after that was Mr. Skoufis, who's the head of the investigations committee, put out a blithering statement about how Republicans were politicizing this matter. This isn't about R and D or blue and red. This is about, if we're not all fighting for truth and justice here, you ought to get out of public service. So if Tim Kennedy or Sean Ryan here in Buffalo or any senator, because I know we got people tuning in, to this all over the state of New York, but you need to ask the questions of your senator and your assembly member. Were they on that call? Did they know that? And did they reveal what they knew to the public? Luckily, one courageous person on that gave that video footage to the New York Post. Otherwise, none of us would know about it. And that is what is absolutely ridiculous here. And they control the whole thing, from the governor's mansion to the Senate to the Assembly. And Republicans have been saying something is not right about these nursing home numbers since last spring. It didn't add up. And then you watch the governor in his press conference after Tish James reveals the facts to say, where does it matter where they died? Well, that just shows the blackness in this man's heart, because he doesn't understand it's he needs to be held accountable for this decision. This is one of the most serious errors ever committed. And if last spring or early summer he had just said, we made a huge mistake here, which is something he's incapable of. That day he didn't take any accountability. And that's a true sense of a leader, is can they be accountable for their own actions and their own mistakes? And the public will understand in the heat of a situation you can make a mistake. But when you cover it up and you lie about it, that shows who you are. And that's why this man wouldn't have the integrity to resign. And that's why we must move forward with impeachment articles.
Do you think is that realistic with Democrats controlling both houses?
Well, I tell you what, there was a Democrat state legislator that leaked the video in the first place. If you read the Twitter feed of people like Senator Alessandria Biaggi, she and I don't agree on a single shred of politics, but we agree on this. And that serious crimes were committed, and this administration, who has bullied the Democrats in the legislature just as much as he bullied Republicans anywhere in this state, I think that he's going to have serious problems within members of his own party. Tish James, I think, is the least of his worries right now. Any other questions?
Nick, as you mentioned, obviously this could be viewed as politically opportunistic on both sides. Any political thing could be. You're making criminal charges. What do you say to the families? You're talking about the families out there that have lost loved ones in nursing homes for whatever reason. I don't want to assign any blame. What do you say to them when they look at this and say, my God, they're using all of this as political football?
I actually have communicated with several families in the last 12 hours, and they're excited that finally some truth is starting to emerge, that there's been some level of admission by the Cuomo administration that they knew about it and they lied, because the families have known that. The families knew that. No person in this room would write an executive order, even knowing what we knew now or knowing what we know then or what we know now. No one would ever have done that and put those COVID positive patients into those nursing homes. They feel that the governor has their relatives' blood on their hands, but most of them, you know what they just want? Is an apology. They want an admission that you did something, you made a mistake, you did something wrong. And that press conference where the governor went on and blamed God and blamed Washington and blamed the former president and blamed everybody but himself for what happened in nursing homes in New York, I think insulted those families all the more. And then he has his henchmen that go out and attack those family members, you know, trying to impeach the credibility of Janice Dean, whose family has paid the price of 2 loved ones to this crisis. And then referring to the other groups that are out there calling for justice, calling them death cults. These are grieving, these are people that lost family. These are people that deserve our respect and our kindness. And our governor, who thinks he's a king, has kicked them in the teeth in their darkest hours. So I don't think these families are seeing this as a political football. They're looking for justice.
Mr. Chairman, are you aware of anybody in the legislature who plans to initiate any kind of impeachment proceedings?
This is pretty new. I know that there's some discussion. I saw a tweet that there's going to be a conference with the Senate majority about rescinding executive powers. I mean, it's too little too late on that. I mean, that should have happened 6 months ago with this rescinding of the executive powers. That's not enough. This isn't enough to have a member of the staff be fired or resign. This isn't about that. This has to go all the way to the highest office. We need to have subpoenas. We need to have a real investigation. My hope is that Tish James now has plenty of fodder for any investigation she is undertaking. I believe the Department of Justice already has an open file on this matter, but this needs to be ramped up in a big way. Subpoenas can set the truth free here. That video, I hope, is made public of this Zoom call with the governor's #1 aide, his alter ego, his bully in government, Melissa DeRosa, admitting that they froze and they hid the numbers because they were afraid of prosecutors. Can you imagine anyone else talking like that? We were afraid of prosecutors, so we hid the information. It's a smoking gun of obstruction of justice. And you know, she did it on video. I mean, that's a great thing about technology, is there's plenty of paper trail here. So subpoenas would set that free. Hopefully it leaks today. I hope that gets posted to the internet. I would certainly have it on our website if I had a copy of it, because the people deserve to see this. In another insult is DeRosa apologizes to Democratic senators and assembly members for lying and covering up the information. But there's still never been an apology to the people that lost loved ones. Again, the motivation, the callousness, in just the lack of compassion from Andrew Cuomo and this administration to these families is inexcusable. Anyone have any other questions? Thank you all for being here. This is a very important topic, and I hope you continue to ask questions of people that live in this town that might have been part of that call, because no one should get away from this. No assembly member or senator, they all should be on the record as to what they think about this today in every single community in this state. So I thank you for being here and your attention today.